Good afternoon, I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching, it is appreciated. I've seen a story earlier on today and I thought I'd share it. I'm sure many of you have seen it, but I wanted to give my views on the matter. Watchdog grooming gang cannot be deported because Pakistan refuses to take them, and they've got rid of the passports for some reason. Probably because we're a soft touch and we'll go easy on them compared to what they'll get in Pakistan. That would be my assessment on the matter. Funnily enough, I don't really care. But what I find surprising is that there's a lot on the left that have changed the tunes over the past 48 to 72 hours. Some of the most glaring, in my opinion, are people like Nicholas from Hate Not Hope. You remember him from last year? He was the guy that falsely said that white people were targeting minority people during the Southport riots, and actually emboldened the minority groups that were targeting white people all over the country. And he was stirring up racial hatred on the white man and white woman by Pakistanis and Asians and minority groups, predominantly Muslims, against the native indigenous population of Britain. That's what he did, and he didn't actually receive any consequences for that. Just a brief reminder on who we're dealing with. He put out a tweet a couple of days ago saying that the decision by the government to initiate an inquiry about street grooming by gangs is the right one and should have been taken years ago. For too long, the victims have been ignored, not believed, and let down by the system and people that were meant to protect them. They need justice and need to be heard. More importantly, we need to ensure that more people are now caught up in this type of abuse are in the future. So I think he's actually misread there, or he's actually misspoke there. He says, more importantly, we need to ensure that more people are now caught up in this type of abuse in the future. That could be a Freudian slip, or he could have misspoke. I don't want to put words in his mouth. We'll just read the tweet for what it is. Child sexual exploitation comes in many different forms, and all forms need to be investigated and stopped. Too many girls, women, have been abused by grooming gangs in towns and cities across the country, and this has to stop. It is time for once to put victims first. Well, he has changed his tune, because in 2023, Nick Lyles said the Home Secretary Suella Braverman was singling out British Pakistani men, and while child sexual abuse is not confined to a specific ethnic group, it irresponsibly stirs up hatred. So his priority was, let's not stoke racial tensions, rather than identifying the elephant in the room, that there's a certain demographic that's disproportionately represented in this crime. Nick is responsible for speaking about, he's responsible for all those speaking out about grooming gangs being called racist in the first place. So he's one of the most glaring. Then you look at this guy, he was on GB News earlier on today. His name is Peter Tatchell. He is one of the most demented leftists in the United Kingdom. He's got very, very questionable views about the age of consent. I'm not going to bother you with the sort of details, but you want to look into it. It is concerning on its own. I will say that. We're going to play this clip now, and I'm going to pause it, alright? And we'll have a little conversation.
Here, I suppose. I can understand if everyone thinks about sort of the global citizen. You might think that maybe dangerous people are better off in a British prison than they are in a Pakistani prison. But shouldn't the government of Britain sort of prioritise the citizens of Britain?
Fair question. The British citizen, British people should come first. Above and beyond any other considerations. That's just common sense. Most people in the country think that way. It's not really a question that should be asked on a national news network. This should be policy. This should be government policy already.
Well, first let me say what these men did was absolutely monstrous. They deserve very, very severe punishment. And I would favour the focus being on, first of all, prevention, secondly, deterrence, and thirdly, punishment. But in this particular case, I think it is astonishing, unbelievable, and so wrong that these men cannot be deported, given that they have torn up their Pakistan citizenship and Pakistan is refusing to accept them. Now, there are negotiations going on, and I hope that will lead to their deportation. But at the end of the day, we have a right to decide who lives in this country. I don't think the renunciation of citizenship or deportation should be used lightly. You know, if people commit a crime, they should be punished. I think only in exceptional circumstances should they be deported.
This is where I begin to take issue. He sounds relatively based there, and I will not necessarily give credit, but I can agree with what the words are coming out of his mouth to a point. I would say severity of criminality. Yes, I would say if it's a speeding fine, for example, you shouldn't be deported for that. But if it's something that I would say custodial sentence of over a year, automatic deportation. If you're a dual national or a foreign national, you're just gone and you'll never be given a green card back into the UK. That would be my policy and my opinion on the matter. Continue, Peter.
And so you think grooming gangs, you should be deported. If you're a member of a grooming gang, you've been found guilty, you should be deported, whatever.
Well, I think it would depend on the particular circumstances of the grooming gang and the evidence and the severity of what they did. So you can be perhaps a member of a grooming gang, and that's absolutely wrong in all circumstances. But if you were just a bystander or watcher, or you didn't actually commit any sexual crimes yourself, then that probably isn't the grounds for automatic deportation.
I disagree with that. If you're facilitating that sort of crime or you're enabling it, that is a very, very severe crime in my opinion, and you should be deported. Anybody that knowingly abetted these crimes should be deported, either with the dual nationals or the foreign nationals. I don't want them in my country. We seem to be run by demons, okay, where you can actually terminate a pregnancy up until the day of birth and you won't get any ramifications. They're looking to pass an assisted dying bill, but for some reason, if you're a criminal, there's no death penalty for that. These crimes, these heinous crimes, there's no death penalty for that, and we can't even deport them out of the country. I do genuinely think that we're run by demons. This all needs to change. Continue, Peter.
Well, let's bring in John Taylor, a former Met investigator and online grooming expert. Surely, not just grooming gang perpetrators, but any foreign criminal should be deported, John.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, exactly. And the legal system is there, if you think about it. We've got the powers that we can do. We know that anybody who commits a criminal offence, especially if they are convicted and receive 12 months custodial sentence or more, they can automatically be deported, even under 12 months, depending on certain circumstances. So the power is there. And as Peter quite rightly said, these people who commit these offences, wherever they come from, and what people must understand is even if they're here on a student visa or work visa, or they've arrived illegally, and even if they are seeking political asylum, or even if they've got political asylum, that can be revoked. So actually, we have the power in place.
So there you have it. We'll leave that one there. You'll see a lot of this over the next few weeks. You'll see a lot of attempted revisionism from the people on the left. We've even got people from the governing party coming out and saying we need to be able to deport foreign sex offenders. Will it actually happen? Not under a Labour government. It's not going to happen. It will not happen. Definitely not. You've got the Attorney General, Lord Hermer. Okay, he is the person that won't even review the sentences of the grooming gang convicts. He is responsible for the lenient sentences that those grooming gang perpetrators got. He wouldn't support mass deportations, and he's the legal chief to the government at the moment, alright? So just bear that in mind, that's what you're dealing with, that's what we're dealing with here. In response to Pakistan not wanting to take their criminals back, we can use diplomatic leverage. We can always do that. As Rupert Lowe quite rightly says, 133 million in foreign aid, just get rid of it. That's what we send Pakistan currently. Send them the bill for last year too. And then we can do tax remittances. 25% transfer. In 2021 that was 2.94 billion sent to Pakistan. Tax it. Then enforce tariffs on Pakistani goods. We have a trade deficit with them and we should use it. Suspend visas, no more foreigners from Pakistan getting into the UK. Simple as. And then he goes on to say, I like the idea of doing it all alongside like-minded nations, a deportation NATO plan, for example. He goes on to say he thinks that America should do it and other countries should do it as well. The Pakistanis should be held to ransom for what they've done and what they've allowed to happen. And I completely agree. The point of the matter is, do not be fooled by all these platitudes from the left and politicians and media mouthpieces on the left. Up until 5 seconds ago, they were completely on board with all of this. They're doing this for political expediency because they think it's going to save their own arses. They don't actually mean a single syllable that they say. You need people that are consistent with this issue. You need people that have never changed or wavered on their stance. You can get more hardline on the stance, but generally speaking, if you're flip-flopping from one extreme to the other every other Tuesday, you can't be trusted. And Labour can definitely not be trusted with this. You think it's politically expedient to do so, and that's the only reason they're doing it. And we need change. We do need genuine change for all of us to get put in order. The demons need to be voted out, and they can't be allowed back in. It is truly demonic that we cannot deport foreign criminals. Expectant mothers can abort their babies the day before birth, and we're going to be bringing in the assisted dying bill as well. I sometimes truly despair. Anyway, if you think I'm onto something with this video, you let me know. Like and subscribe as always. I will see you in the next one. You have a good day.